Happy Wednesday. Got my tea. It's middle of the day here. And I want to talk to you guys about this masterclass that I have coming up. So I have this class called Path of Happiness that I started 4 years ago. And back when I started it, this was just about me sharing what I had learned from interviewing a bunch of people from kind of all over the world and asking them questions about their personal happiness, their personal fulfillment, how good they feel about their lives. And I just, from that research, I just jotted down a bunch of insights where I essentially compared people who describe themselves as very happy with people who describe themselves as less happy. And I just compared those two. So this started 4 years ago. Fast forward to now, every year I sort of updated and added more things. And every year the focus has been on something slightly different because you might or might not know, but this realm of science of happiness is really big. There's so many different angles to look at this, and you guys probably already know. I mean, happiness, self-help books, all these things have been a fad for a while. Now, I know I'm talking to you about happiness when we are in probably one of the hardest years that I've experienced in my lifetime. Not the hardest, because mind you, I grew up in Romania and I lived through communism and I lived in New York I was there for 9/11. So I've been through a few things, but like this year is insane for all of us. So I know talking about happiness right now might seem completely off center. How could you even be happy when the situation outside is so crazy? So why? Here's why. I love this book, by the way. Do you see that pie over here? So what that book written by Sonia Lyubomirsky, who is a professor at UC Riverside, what she discovered through scientific research is that actually a big piece of the happiness pie we're actually responsible for. What she found is that 50% of our happiness, roughly, is determined by our genetic code. So it's sort of our set point for weight. But then there is a 10% that is determined by our circumstances, by the situation that we find ourselves in. And that could be the political situation. You can think of it as my, health, my weight, my relationships, my looks, the kind of house that I live in. Take all of that, put it together, the kind of money that I make, put it all together. And that, in her research, makes up for 10%. Okay, that was a big aha for me, and I'm sure for anyone who had really looked at that, because we all think that the kind of money that I make, the kind of relationships that I have, all of those would add up to my happiness. Now, it is important. We want to be connected. We want to have good relationships. Those things are absolutely important. But how do we even go about sort of improving our circumstances? So there is a 40% left on the table. That 40% is completely up for grabs. In other words, there's the 40% of our happiness that we have full control of, according to Sonia Lyubomirsky, who wrote this book called How of Happiness. You guys should check this out if you're interested. So why is this even important? Well, let me just kind of quickly recap and say what the science is showing is that it is important to be happy. I mean, I don't need to tell you this, and you already know this, right? We all know this as a human race, that our happiness is probably at the bottom of everything that we think about when it comes to making choices in our lives. So what research is showing, and this is really cool, you guys, is that when we work towards our happiness, we are actually going to work towards the happiness of those around us. Why? Because the way we interact with people, the kind of energy that we bring to the table is highly contagious. We know this. We model a certain way of being and thinking and approaching things for our kids. For me, I think that was the primary reason why I even embarked on this whole journey, because I really wanted to be able to set my kids for a happy life. And so I think, especially right now when we're all kind of probably feeling pretty empty, worried, maybe even scared, probably feel, we all can feel a little bit more joy and less worry and more tranquility and less insecurity. I think being happier is a worthy goal for all of us. Would you agree? So what I am going to offer in this masterclass that's coming up that I want to tell you about is that we're going to be sort of, my ask to you and my intention to you, if you're interested in this, is that you will take a step back and really consider, how do you think? Really take a step back and consider your current assumptions about yourself, about those around us, about the world that we live in. And the second thing that I want to put forward is that, and this is backed by data, and when we're looking at research on how do we increase our happiness, and especially when we looked at how do we increase our happiness in a sustainable way, something major really needs to happen in order to break the cycle that we're in, our mental cycle. In other words, we really have to make a commitment to kind of change the way that we think. And so if we're willing to make that change, then this Path of Happiness Masterclass is for you. Because what I will offer you is, and this is all free because I really want to spread the message, I will be offering you a roadmap that I use with all my corporate clients. And what this is going to be focused on is how do you become a happier person by changing the way that you think, the way that you approach any situation, the way that you think about yourself, and really look to maximize the positive thinking, okay, and the kind of happiness that you feel in any moment, okay? This is absolutely possible, you guys. This framework is something that has been built back in the 80s, and I've kind of worked with it and tweaked it and reframe it for to kind of really make it easy to understand. And what you guys are going to see in this hour masterclass is that we're going to be starting with this assumption that we believe what the science is showing us here, that 40% of our happiness is up for grabs. It's up for grabs for those of us who are really committed to intentionally go about how we think and change the way that we kind of essentially change those neural pathways by repeating this kind of framework and approach that I'm going to share with you. So here's what I'm going to share with you in this 1 hour. It's going to be really packed. So I'm going to ask you to bring your notepads and maybe your, anything that you want to take notes on, because I'm going to share with you the 3 stages of happiness, the 7 mindsets for viewing anything, the key blocks that limit our mindset. Okay, there's some four big categories. I'm going to share with you how each type of mindset impacts your emotions and the actions. What is the outcome of each mindset? And then lastly, I'm going to share with you how tapping in this kind of higher mindset levels, I'm going to show you exactly what they are and how they allow you to really pretty effortlessly at some point, you will be able, if you practice this, to kind of really inspire yourself with positive thinking and really help others change the way they think and change the way they feel. And so by you showing up in a different way, viewing the world through different lenses that are much more positive and much more self-empowering, you will be able to do those extraordinary things that you want to do. And this is completely possible. I have been a coach for a while, and I can tell you that with consistent practice, just like with changing our body and getting in shape, we can get in shape with our mindsets and be happier, you guys, and spend much less time with feelings of worry, frustration, anger, lack of options, perceived lack of options, lack of optimism, and really practice how to raise our mindset so we can feel more hopeful, more optimistic, and take action, you guys. Big hugs to you. I'll see you there. By the way, the link is in the profile.